Alright, now that we've had some time to learn how to create geometrical shapes, it's time to learn how to take those shapes and make solids of them. So the next module will be to create solids. We'll start with creating a block. This block is going to have corners, so you're going to watch this video. Again, I would watch it at twice speed just to get through it for concept. Okay, we're going to make a block with corners in the video. You're going to try and duplicate what I've done. You'll save the model in the appropriate collaborative space, and in the Word doc you're going to have a snapshot of the sketch with the specification tree, snapshot of the part with the specification tree, snapshot of the measurements that we're going to create, and have inertia. Alright, this block will be a 1 by 1 by 1. So we're going to make a 1 by 1 block, extrude it 1 inches long, so it would basically be a perfect cuboid. And we're going to have 1/4 inch radiuses though along the top. Our start position will be at a specific position on the YZ plane. In this lesson, I'm hoping to reiterate entering a sketch and creating a sketch. Constraining the sketch will be the new steps. And I'm going to show you how to set datums, analyze a sketch, edit the sketch, or exit the sketch, and then we can create our solid. We can apply material and shade that material and then analyze it. So let's get started. In the previous exercises, you've learned how to generate a new part and define part body as the in-work object. You've also learned how to access the YZ plane sketch. Slide this out of the way. You should have learned how to zoom here a little bit, because I know the box is going to be really small. We're going by 1 by 1. You've done a lot of lines, and you've also done some of this profiles and some rectangles. So you can generate this any way you want to at this level. I use the rectangle command. The new command I'm going to teach you is the corner command, and I will corner these two lines and place a corner right about here. Now, you could go up here and edit this, but it might put the corner in the wrong spot. So if you want to use that, you want to slide this down over here maybe. And then if I come over here and type in a 1/4 inch radius, it will automatically set it to the correct value. So again, I use the corner feature, and if you recall from the previous demos, you could double click this so you won't have to reactivate that. I will select the two lines I want the corner on. You could simply place a corner, it will put in a value, and you could double click the value and change that to a 1/4 inch as well. Okay, let's see if I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. We just created the sketch. There's two corners already defined, but we've got to define the rest of the rectangle. So I'm going to use the constraint command and select two parallel lines. So the top and bottom, set this to be 1 inch. Click off in no man's land. Now, if you grab this and grab just this line, it's going to want to give you that measurement. So you want to make sure you grab the two parallel lines. I can grab another parallel line and it won't be purple anymore. What's going on right now, it's telling me this is 0.75, this is a 1/4 inch, and this is 1 inch. We're over constraining this part. The 0.75 dimension or constraint is not needed. So it'll do that time to time, but if you're continuing on to grab this other parallel line, for example, it will convert that to a length or a distance dimension or an offset dimension between those two parallel lines. I click a position and hit enter for that location, and you'll notice that the profile is black, and what it's telling us is it's not fully constrained. How do I verify that? I go to Analyze, and under Analyze we have Sketch Solve Status, and the Solve Status tells me it's under constrained, meaning that it's missing constraints. Now you might be looking at this thinking, I don't know what other constraint I can possibly put on there. Well, you can't put on any other constraint, or you can't add any constraints. But what I have to do is establish datums, because if I change this 1 to a 2, I don't know if it's going to go left or right. And if I change this to a 2, I don't know if it goes up or down. What I want to do is I want to control which direction I want it to move by establishing datums. And how that's done is you select the line. Oh, did you see how it jumped? I'm going to hit escape and then hit undo. I'm going to grab that line again. See how it did that to me again? That's funny. This never happens to me except for when I'm doing a video. We'll see if I can't grab it again and not have it shift. When you grab that line, under Sketch tab in the bottom, where you see constraints, there's an arrow to the right of the constraints. You hit define constraints, define dialog, and we hit fix, and it establishes an anchor. And this top line becomes green, saying this is my anchored line. This line I know is going to be 1 inch long, and I know not to let this line move, so this will only go in the up direction. As you saw earlier, it went down. When I select OK, unfortunately what happens is there's a little H right here. You can barely even see it, but it turned red. And it's hard to see, but we got to delete that H. So I'm going to click on that little H and hit delete. It was over constraint. You see that little V right here? That little V is a vertical to, no, sorry. When I open up the specification tree, that V stands for parallelism, and it's parallelism to the vertical axis that I have down here. Okay, so if you can see there, the V is really small. It's a tiny little black V. And I want it to be black or green. But when I come over here and then click the dialog box and turn vertical off, or sorry, when I turn fix on, that V turns red. Okay, and we don't want that to be on there. So when you set your datum, you must remove the horizontal or vertical to get rid of it. So the easiest way to do that is just all at one time as I'm creating my anchor. When I select OK, this part becomes fully constrained. When I go back to Analyze and hit the Sketch Solve status, it now says constrained, meaning I have all the constraints necessary for this part. Go ahead and cancel that. Sketch analysis. In all reality, the next time I do this, first step is to make sure that the profile is closed. If you do not have a closed profile, you do not want to put constraints on this. All right, so we have a fully constrained profile now. We've learned to create the lines, the corners, constrain it, define the constraints. In the tree, you'll see that this fix and this fix are telling me that those lines are fixed. So if I change these values to 2, change this value to 2, it remains where it was, and it forces it to grow up or to the right. I'm going to hit undo and return it back to 1 inch. So I'm hitting the Control Z button or the undo button to undo the last steps I've done. Now, we have to complete one more step before we're done. This datum here, notice I grabbed the bottom line first. The bottom line, for all intents and purposes, what we're going to be doing for the beginning exercises will be datum A. And the second fix will be datum B. Datum C is actually the sketch face we're working on. So the line itself does not represent the datum, it's the plane that that line sits on represents datum A. The plane that this vertical line sits on will represent datum B. And the face, the 2D face that we're working on, is datum C. So we're going to go into properties, feature property, and rename this to be all caps, datum dash A dash. Select OK, and you'll notice that it renamed that to datum dash A. I'm going to do the same thing for this. Properties. Hit the up arrow on your keyboard and it remembers the last thing you typed. Oh, that's weird. It's remembering something I typed in from before. If it doesn't work, you'll have to retype it, but I'm just going to edit this to say datum B and hit enter. I've now established datum A and B in my specification tree. All right, so we're going to create a new Word doc. This is creating a block with corners. Okay. Oh, I don't have my Word doc description in here. So I'm going to do it for you here. In your Word doc, you're going to define the steps. Yeah, God, did I really not do that? Oh, snapshot of the sketch with the specification tree. So we will go to CATIA, make sure this is zoomed over. I've expanded the tree so you can see the datum showing up. In the tree, I can see part body, sketch. The sketch is in the correct part body, the only part body, and my constraints. I want to see datum A and B in my picture. Okay. I also want to see that you did the verification, all right, to say that it's constrained. So we will go back to the Word doc, insert, screen, screen clip, put that there. After corners, and hit enter. And go back to my Word doc. Copy this. Paste it here. Okay. Snapshot of the sketch with spec tree. All right, and I need one more snapshot with the spec tree. So back to CATIA. I'm using Alt Tab. If you only have one screen, try using your Alt Tab. It's an easy way to pop back and forth from one screen to another. If you recall earlier, I showed you Analyze. We must confirm that it's closed. Okay, so I've slid this into the picture where I can get a snapshot of it. Insert, screen clip. We'll do a screen snap. Okay. I'll go back to Word doc. I like to do a screen clip because it's easier for me to see. Another technique some people will use is insert, screenshot. Sometimes it shows me the CATIA screen where I could just click on it. But see, it didn't show that window in there. Okay. So I'm going to undo that, undo my last one, and I'm going to stay with that screen clip I had. Okay, that's all I need is a screenshot of your sketch. Again, showing me that you have constrained, showing its constrained view and your datums here. And this over here is showing me that it's closed. Okay, so just for your sake, I just want to reiterate here. I am verifying that we have this to read constrained. And you know what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do a Control-C, copy that. Click over here on this and paste it. I'll just move it over here, making sure that the status is closed. Okay. Closed. Closed status is verified. Constrained status is verified, and datums are renamed properly in the specification tree. Again, remember it's datum dash A dash. You must have the dashes in there. Datum dash B dash. All right. I'm going to slide down a little bit more and hit enter. The next thing is snapshot with the specification tree of the part. Okay, so what we want to do here, hit enter, and now that we have our solid complete, I'm going to close this off and go ahead and hit exit. Notice that we're 1 inch away from our axis. Boy, I hope this doesn't happen to you, but my part design's gone here. On the bottom, you'll have part body. I'm going to turn on my action pad. And in my action pad, I have the pad icon. So what you want to do is make sure the sketch is highlighted. It normally is already highlighted, and you'll see sketch under profile. If sketch 1 under profile is already there, you're ready to complete the next step. I'm going to make this 1 inch long. If you hit enter, it will automatically take it. So I don't like to hit the enter. I'd like to recommend to hit the tab button. If you ever want to modify a solid, the way to modify a solid is to double click it, and these values come up, and you can edit these values from here. Remember how I was editing them in the sketch environment? Well, I can edit them from here as well. Okay, I'm going to cancel that and put it back and double click on this solid. Notice the numbers are in the back. I want my numbers in the front. So to get my numbers in the front, you can hit that arrow in the middle of the screen to reverse the direction, or under directions here, you can hit this. Okay, and it says right here, it says it will invert the direction. When I invert the direction and hit preview, you notice the constraints are all in the front. It's going to be a lot easier for me to work with if I leave my constraints sitting there in the front. I can edit them at any time. It's a lot cleaner and simpler to work with. And that concludes creating a part. So I'm going to hit OK. With the specification tree active and showing the part, making sure I have no more than one part, and opened up to show that I have no more than one sketch. You will make a picture of that. I will go to my Word doc, insert, screen clip, and make a picture. Go back to my Word doc, and there's my picture of my part. I'm going to hit enter. Back to the directions. We've just done that. Now snap with the measurements and inertia. That will be the next picture we make. All right, so I will hit the right arrow and hit enter and go Control V. I'll create a new page break. Okay, click at the end and hit enter, and we'll make a snapshot of this measurements, but I got to create my measurements first. So I'm going to create measurements for length, width, and height. When I go into the measure command, actually I'm going to stop the video here and do a second video on doing the rest of this, the measure command.